I don't know. I don't know. Well, we don't actually.
Yeah,
Everybody else does it. Oh my.
oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So, I mean, it's 2:30. Well, mine says 2:31. So, we're on time.
And we're live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't tell Sean, but I don't have my computer with me or my headphones or my microphone. I'm on my phone. Do not tell Sean I'm doing this from my phone.
Okay. Well, Sean may hear that when he filters the sound here. Now,
Right.
I've got all this light coming in this room, so the glare off my head, I'm sure, is going to blind people.
Well, my hotel room is dark, so I opened up this window, and next thing you know, now it's I got wrong light. Like everything is wrong.
Missy's with us. It's good to see Missy.
Hi, Missy.
And Renee from South Carolina. Got a notification that we're on. Good. At least a couple of people know. Renee is in the house. We're doing several things different today, y'all. Some of them not. Allie, yay. Man, Allie, have I got to talk with you? But I wonder, is that Chena from New Mexico? Very good. Hello from Indiana. Hi, you guys. We're doing something so different today. We're doing several things differently. One thing we aren't doing differently is scrambling at the last second. Adam and I did not set this up well. I'm in Arizona where Adam lives. Adam's in where? Missouri?
Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, Wichita, Kansas, yeah. And if it weren't for Anna, who is moderating with us, we would not be here right now. Adam and I would be on Zoom and we would be lost. So
we would be recording a podcast, which probably would air later, but would not be live.
Oh my goodness. So thank you, Anna, for pulling this out and
saving us.
Saving us on that. And we're trying a live podcast here with a guest, Craig Shoemaker. If you've been with us a while, Craig was on with us a month or so ago. He's coming back and we're going to have a live with him. So Adam will be interviewing him. I'll be forwarding your questions. Anna's going to be filtering for us as our moderator, and then I'll put in your questions as they come. But he's running a little late, which is kind of good for us, so we can say hi to y'all and get started. Also today, and Adam, you'll have the update on this. Today is merch day. The day people will be able to get merch, and I saw a text from Lindsay saying she is going to have that ready by nighttime. I think she didn't use swear words, but she was bound and determined. I know she's on here, so she'll defend herself, but she's bound and determined to have that ready today. Anything else?
But we announced that it would be open on December 15th. Well, today is December 15th, and then I guess when the merch store is ready to open, there is some something on there had to do with something that wasn't quite right. So we wanted to make sure it's right for you. So we will make sure that when you do order your merch, it will be the right merch, whether you're getting a hat, a hoodie, a t-shirt, a keychain, and you can check out the merch store later this evening if you're wanting to buy a Optimist piece of history. We're going to call this history because it's history in the making, and we're onto something big. I think this optimism podcast and Facebook, I think it's something that it's just starting, but I think down the future, I'm positive that it's going to be something, I think, big, and we're all here at the beginning of it. So I think, get your early merch later tonight.
Very good. And in her defense, she said December 15th, but she didn't say which year. So she
gotcha.
Intended a year from now. And if she gets it going tonight, she's a year early.
Which, by the way, we did get news on our audiobook. It will not be December 20th, but supposedly it may be done before the end of the year, before next year.
Well, don't say before next year. Just say before the end of the year. And you don't say which year, and that way we're covered.
Okay, so it's coming soon. How about that? The audiobook is coming soon.
Okay, so Adam, give us, for the people that weren't on with Craig last time, give us a little kind of intro to Craig and maybe a little bit what we talked about last time.
Sure. So Craig Shoemaker is a comedian and an actor, and he's well known in Southern California. But him and I have been friends for a long time. I used to have him on my radio show, and I just think he's one of the funniest comedians out there. So we had him on the show. He called me and he said that he saw me on, I don't know, Netflix, one of those documentaries. And he saw the situation, and he was watching it because his wife joined a cult, or he thinks his wife joined a cult. And so he called me to find out what was going on with my family. And he knew Alex and even gave Alex a lot of tips of how to do comedy and things like that. And so when he found that out, he reached out. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe what you're going through. And this is what I'm going through with my wife." And he's got a podcast, and, he talks about, the light that shines in you. And so we talked a little bit about, laughter and what kind of therapy that is for a lot of people. Rex and I love to laugh. And, we've been criticized on this show for laughing sometimes. But I think he'll get to the root of what that means. But also, I think he's pretty interesting in his approach to, some of life's tragedies. And as we've done this podcast and as we've had these Facebook posts, we know that life is full of tragedies and it could come up at any time. So I think, he could, try to help a little bit in that area.
I think he will. And if you don't mind, I'll insert this while we're waiting for Craig talking about life's tragedies. I made a post on the Facebook group. I know not everyone's on the Facebook group. I made a post on there of a tragedy of a friend of ours. And she's a friend with a lot of people involved in this case. And I made a post about a tragedy in her life. And 100 of you either reacted, with a heart or a thumbs up, something, or commented. I think there are 44 comments. In my life, I've never had a post with 100 with 100 reactions to it. And our group is just, this is what's right with the world. This Facebook group. This is just, they're just 1,000 of you. Now that we hit 1,000, I'm saying just 1,000.
Right.
But there's a microcosm right there of what is right with the world. Not that they're reacting to me and giving me 100, because the reaction wasn't for me. It was for these people that they don't know who it is because the people are anonymous. They want to remain anonymous. But everyone just sharing their prayers and their hopes for health, and some of you aren't religious and you're sharing your good thoughts. That is just as appreciated. And by the way, I hope we talked about religion again recently, and we didn't acknowledge this like we did the first time. Some of you aren't religious and you are just as much a part of this group. There's a lot of talk about prayers, etc. And some people that don't pray, they don't believe in God, don't have someone to pray to, but sending positive energy, sending good thoughts is welcome just the same. It's still sending love, and we appreciate that too. And this is just a wonderful group. I was glad to see that. And look who's joined us, Adam.
Who? Oh, my man crush.
Oh, not anymore. Not anymore.
Welcome back.
What? What do you mean not anymore? You're always going to be my man crush.
Yeah, I got a haircut just for you because I knew I was coming on. Rex, it reminds me every time I think, because I had heard about this big buildup of the man crush, and on my way of meeting him for the first time at this American Idol event 20 years ago, the whole way in I'm going, do I look good? I'm a straight male going to another straight male wondering how my hair looks. And there you go. And now I just had my hair cut knowing I was coming on here.
Oh my
Right.
gosh. I started thinking about like that Craig and I had met because I was a huge fan of his comedy. Just thinking he's the best comedian I've ever seen. So I wanted to have him on my show. We ended up meeting and all these things. And then, he let me be in his movie, and we've kept in contact, and we've gone back and forth, and our lives all gone all over the place. When my book came out, he was kind enough to have me in LA and take a picture with me, this book. And it's because I mentioned him in my first book that I wrote. And so with that, and here we are now, say this 20 years later or down the road, I had this tragedy go on with my family. Craig's watching Netflix, sees it, and then reaches out to me because he's having a tragedy with his wife or ex-wife, and he's had a hard life growing up. So I don't know, it's so weird that we're all here together right now at this moment.
Yeah, it is. And but I always believe in, I'm a big believer in the big G, whatever you want to call it. And I believe there's always a reason for everything. Maybe even the reason I was watching that movie had some significance. When I see you pop up, I'm like, what the, and your brother, I'm like, what the hell? It's
Yeah.
a shock to me. I had heard a little something, but I didn't realize the magnitude, and also brought up fear in me, because I actually watched documentaries about cults, because that's what my ex-wife, that's what happened. She just got programmed by this unbelievable woman who's just a complete grifter, con artist. And to think that a loved one would go, and I'll tell you, it was a blissful many years with her. And because we were dialed into a higher source, higher power. We met in a church, in a non-denominational church, and that was our grounding. And if I'm to advise anyone, I was just talking to my hair stylist who was going through something. If anything is going to get you through something, that's what it is. It's some relationship where you can have hope and faith, and it's this higher source in charge, instead of our own egos, instead of our fears, our doubts, our worries, our anger, our rage. It's misplaced. So if anything's going to get you through, it's that. And once that stopped happening in our relationship, that's when things went downhill, where she needed somebody instead of the higher source. She needed to empower someone, deify someone. This is a problem with a lot of religions too, is people, they see the leader as the answer instead of God, instead of this essence, instead of this ethereal divine thing, whatever that may be for everyone. And that's a big difficulty in our society, period. And it happens when we can deify political leaders, we can deify bosses, we can think that a parent, they have our answers, and they do not have our answers. And that's what she did. She allowed this woman, my son says to his sister, you never knew mommy before this woman. You didn't know her before because she was so magnificent. And it's really, it's a sad thing to watch somebody plummet and go into that darkness. It's just like Anakin Skywalker. He was a sweet kid, and the dark forces took over of resentment and anger and rage, and it takes over. And she, her hormones, whatever it was, she needed something to solve these issues for her midlife crisis, whatever it was. And then she actually called herself in a golden cage. I'd love to be in a golden cage for a minute. I'd love to be taken care of for a minute, And now, by the way, she's got her sovereign freedom, was the other one. She's got her sovereign freedom and keeps coming after me for more money. Like, hey, if you got freedom, go. You're free to go. Free to go make all the money you want. Instead of
fly away. Go fly away. All right.
Yeah, go fly. Got you. No golden cage. Look, you're out. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm
Craig,
golden
Craig,
cage.
Go ahead, Rex.
As you know, we're doing a live, so we have some questions coming in. Let me pop one on the screen for you from one of our listeners. That was not the one. Anna, who is also moderating for us, she wants to know how quickly your wife was programmed. You described it very clearly, but how quick did that process happen?
It's a long process. She was with this woman for years and years. Actually, they went to a first cult leader. It's a lot of wellness grifting going on out there, where they propose that it's about your wellness and your wholeness, and there's namaste. I got my saying here, right? My t-shirt. You can get one. I'm stuck between namaste and kiss my ass. That's where I live. I live in that space. I want to be namaste, but I got a little kiss my ass in me too. I got a little some Philly, some little fire in me. You know, a lot of us do. We can't be these ethereal beings all the time, but I also like to have fun with it. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. But it took a long time for her to. She got conditioned and conditioned. What she would do is she would go on these calls with the first cult leader, this woman named Raven. And this woman brought her to that, and it was a multi-level marketing scam. It was like Year to Millionaire, they called it, and you pay us $10,000, we'll teach you how to have $1 million in a year. And they went to this house. The house didn't even exist. And she dedicated her life, and then she started to listen to this pontificating, this women's empowerment, headed towards mothers especially. Come on, mamas. You know, it's not all about the children. It's about you and getting your freedom. And you hear this enough. So I used to say, "Where's mommy?" to my son, who was young at the time, and I'd say with the group, and he would go, "Boo group." He was very subtle. Okay, he would go, "Boo group." We called it boo group. Mommy would go to boo group with this woman, this Raven woman, like lying in her bed, saying, "And then here's what you need to do, mamas. Here's what you need." And I'm watching this. I'm going, "Are you kidding me?" And they got $80,000 out of me because I'm guilted into going, "Hey, she's got to have, you know, she can't just be a mother." And I get it. But I'm not one of these asshole dads that goes, "No, you're going to do things my way." No, I'm a guy that's really like very supportive. And I supported all these businesses. Then they defected from this Raven and actually ended up in a lawsuit and everything else. I'm like, oh, that should have been a lesson, right? A lot of red so many red flags. It was like Les Miserables, attend the barricade, you know, the big flag. I mean, it was up. Do you hear the people sing the songs of scamming going on?
Right.
These scams are happening, and I'm the one going, I look like the jackass by going, hey, no, you're getting scammed. No, I'm not. And then going to freedompreneur. The freedompreneurs, they learn to dance. They go to Australia. It's all about people stroking people's ego and not about what they say it is. And then there were mommy minutes, and they tried to Arix or whatever. They tried a crypto thing. It was all these things, everything having a coaching program. And then went away, did medicine journeys. You know what that is? These acid trips where they see things and come back as if it's reality. So the answer to how quickly she was programmed was over time, and now it's to the point of no return. Now it's the point where I just wish that somebody, one of her friends, would step in and say, "Listen, sweetie, you're gone. You've gone from your children. The children don't recognize her, and she denies that it's a cult. It's let's say it's not a cult. It's a leader that took her down this path using those words that I'm very specific and very real about it." And then she posts stuff like, "There's a husband out there who blames me for ruining his marriage. Blame much, victim much," or this kind of stuff. I'm like, no, I'm not blaming you. I'm saying go away and allow this woman to surrender to a higher source, and the higher source is not you.
So you have to deal with red flags. I mean, when you see red flags, like I saw red flags in my family, and you're trying to say, look, these are red flags. Why isn't anybody looking at these red flags or acknowledging that these are red flags?
Because people in general don't want conflict. People in general, which I do as well, paint the red flags green. You don't want to see something.
Me too. I'm a peacemaker. I don't like conflict, but when it gets to a point where you have to say it's either this or this, you have to pick a side.
You do, and most of the time they're going to take the easier way. And most of the time, quite frankly, and this is not a sexist thing, most of the time people will believe a woman ahead of a guy.
And that's what happened. That's what happened to my family. They believed Lori instead of me.
And I get it. Look, men oppressed women for all these years. Men are the oppressed, especially. I mean, it's really. Look, I get it. I get the defense.
Yeah.
I get why they think they need the freedom. I get it. But these leaders, these cult leaders, they prey upon this. I don't know. I've studied this, and my dad was a cult leader, so I really studied this. They prey upon vulnerability. They usually prey upon a relationship with a father that's difficult. That's how Manson recruited. he would act like he was a brilliant psychic, and he would say, "You have a problem with your father. You're misunderstood by your father." And they go, "Yes. How did you know that?" So,
Yeah. It's almost like I talked about that experience that I had with the Long Island medium, and I went to one of her shows. I interviewed her on my radio show. She was nice to everybody. She went to the show, and then she tried to tell everybody about, oh, well, I see a brown couch. Oh, yeah, my uncle has a brown couch. And I'm just thinking to myself, no, what are you? But the people that were getting information left there happy, thinking that they actually talked to somebody on the other side. So then I was like, well, as long as they're happy, it's not a scam, or I'm so confused with that whole thing anyways.
Yeah, I understand your confusion. I do psychic work as well. I mean, I think I'm going to give you a little secret to why you believe I'm a good comedian. And many people do, or a great comedian. And that's because I have I'm an empath, and I can feel energy, and to a big degree. And that's basically what I do when I do psychic work, if you want to call it that, is I'm reading energies. And I can see people's past, even specific. I mean, this one woman, a client, I could see her with pigtails and on a stage when she was in second grade. I said the song that she sang, it was like some stuff can really come through in this, like channeling through. And everybody has that, by the way. Well, it's an intuition. But what I did was I denied my intuition with her. I could have said, that's it. And, you're taking her off of, you're never going to speak to this woman. She's evil. And I could have stopped it. And I could have done some certain things. And then to this day, I wonder, what can I do? I mean, we're divorced now. She got her wish. But what can I do? Because I'm still in fear for the children. I have no idea how far she can go. And the documentary I saw was frightening, because I'm going, wow.
Yeah.
When someone is that far gone, they can justify anything. That's the problem. She can justify her rage. She had a horrible rage and violence, and then she would blame me, and she had literally had the cops arrested me.
Yeah.
Who are they going to believe? And she knows that. That's the thing, is if it is a woman, not blaming you ladies, but if you are to blame, look inside of yourself. If you are to be accountable. And there's so much lack of accountability these days, especially, when you join a group that they're not asking you to be accountable. They want you to join the group and pay them and follow them. So they're not going to say be accountable. They're going to say be accountable just and listen to me. And I'm going to tell you what your problems are and what your solutions are.
Well, going back to what you said about intuition, Rex talks about this in his book about follow your intuition. And sometimes when we don't follow our intuition, like you said, you didn't, then there's consequences that follow each one of those. And so I just get to the point sometimes where I get this intuition. And I'm like, it sounds dumb to do this, but if I don't do this, I'm not going to feel good about not doing it.
Questioning our intuition is a very common practice, because you have to remember that we are filled with doubt from news, parents. Everyone is going to fill you with the doubt on your own intuition, because they are in the business of having you follow them. That's their business. And you can't think for yourself. Just look at the world we live in. There's not very little thinking for yourself. It's not encouraged. You're encouraged to stay in fear. That's why they have that crawl that comes across in the news all day long. What's the crawl say? It's all something you should be afraid of. I'm going to define your enemy for you, and I'm going to give you your solution through drugs, through deflection, whatever it is. I will give you your solution. Do not look inside. Do not look to a higher source for your solution. There's no money in it for them.
Right.
And Greg, this is parallel to the question I just put up on the screen from Anna. How are you able to sift through the cult BS easier than your wife?
Well, I was never in it because they didn't prey upon me, because I am not a person who follows, which is, I would encourage anybody who's listening or watching this, just don't follow anyone. Don't follow anyone. Don't follow me either. You can follow me in my coaching programs. You're not following me. You're taking suggestions. It's suggestions as opposed to orders or commands or demands, or even bullying. You can bully in feelings and things like that. No, I'm here to encourage people to be their true self, their authentic self, through essence and love, light, and levity. And levity is the big one too. I had to find a lot of laughter, even at the worst points in my life. find the laughter. I literally made a career out of it.
Right.
When I was a kid, I had a lot of, it's crazy how life just keeps repeating itself. Another difficult thing, another obstacle. You just go, come on, God, really? Can I just have a vacation now?
Oh,
I mean,
I've been there. I have been there. Oh my gosh, have I been there?
yeah, you just go, come on, really? Another thing? And then we both have situations where you're going, well, that's really heavy, subject of documentaries, you know what I mean? Like, and it started right away with me. Dad leaves and I was kidnapped by a serial pedophile. I mean, all this stuff happened. But one thing happened to me in 4th grade. We moved again. I was beaten a lot because it was very tiny, and we moved, and we were poor. When you're poor and tiny and fatherless, they're going to come for you. It's like they can sniff it. But one day
I feel bad for you. I really do.
Don't feel bad for me. I have an amazing life, and it
I
has
know
to do
that.
with finding the resilience and finding this higher source, this God, this big G. It's amazing. I have an amazing life. I don't care what happens. It's always amazing. But this is the moment that it's shifted for me. Was I was in this class in 4th grade, again, another school in the suburbs with wealthier kids watching me sew my pants in the bathroom and shame me because I had to learn how to sew and they want a pair of pants.
Yeah.
Me downs to top it off. Anyway, I was in class and I started telling a story about my mom beating me. And I watched people go, what the hell? And I was telling the truth. The whole place shifted. They were laughing. And I was going, no, I'm going to add shit. I'm going to say, I added, and I was a piñata and I had candy coming out of my ears and orifices, they're laughing. I was like, whoa, this is unbelievable. And I'm seeing guy over here is looking at me. This one's paying attention to me. Everyone's laughing. This is the most beautiful feeling in the world, is to share that with others. And I was like, it was like a voice spoke to me. And the next day, the teacher, 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Stout, she took my wrists and bound them behind my back with blue yarn and locked me in a closet for a whole day. She told the class, he will not be doing this again. And she goes, you think about this when you're in here in a supply closet, a 4th grade kid. I was not 9, 8 years old, not whatever, 10, whatever. This little kid, literally bound behind my back like a hostage. And I said that's when the voice came. It said, no, you're never going to stop doing this. You're going to share your truth. Yeah. And people like her, like society, like parents that don't want the truth, they will try to command you and demand you and put you in a closet. And that's what happens when all these people, we go to them and go, hey, look, there's some shenanigans going on here. There's some deceit and deception. They're not interested. They don't want to see it. They want to close their eyes to it and make you go away. They want you to go away, and they will intimidate you. I just had the cult leader and her boyfriend did I tell you this? They sent me several text messages threatening me even to take my children from me.
Gee.
Oh yeah. And then my ex-wife denies any culpability. I'm going, well, where'd they get this information? He's saying all these things about me. Where'd they get my number? She show me the evidence. She says in it, like, I'm what are you talking? Why would I? Okay, here it is. Here it is. And that's how bad it can be with a cult, where she's so programmed that she cannot possibly go to her leader and go, don't do that to my ex-husband. He's the father of my children. He's an amazing father.
Yeah.
She goes to them and says, the kids should be taken away. That's the level.
Yeah. Well, the last time we had you on, we talked about cult, and we had a lot of listeners that talked about cults. Rex, is there another question about that? Or
yeah, we're really intrigued with that also, Craig, because Adam and I feel like a lot of people do, that the whole situation with Chad and Lori, Alex buying into it, we feel that has all the markings of a cult. I know you're at least somewhat familiar with it. And we think that during Chad's trial, a lot more of that is going to come out. Can you remark about what you think about viewing Chad and Lori in that situation?
Yeah, I saw the similarities in my situation. Is Chad is, obviously to be like that, you have to be a major narcissist. Mm-hmm. Like I've actually made jokes because my dad was a cult leader, and I make jokes about it. Like, I'm going to have my own. I know how it's done now. I couldn't for a second. I'm too codependent. I
Right.
cared too much about people's feelings. My dad would like choose who slept with him that night, who ever did a better job. They would roll up their sleeping bag. He called himself the king of the Poconos in the mountains of Pennsylvania, and
Oh
they
my
on
goodness.
mule rides to feed the cult, and 14 different women. He called his harem, and they didn't care that I could never say the word harem to a woman I was dating or seeing and say, "You're part of my
Right.
harem." It's like, I don't
So
even know.
that apparently Chad was telling other women before Lori the same spiel that he was married to them in previous lives, but Lori fell for it where these other women didn't fall for it. But I think there were, I think, 3 or 4 women that I think that he slept with that. I don't know if all that's coming out in the court or whatever people know, but I think there's definitely something to that.
Yeah, well, yeah, more will be revealed, but not all will be revealed.
Yeah.
When you're talking about a secrecy level that these people have, it's deeper than the CIA could ever go.
Yeah.
It's such, they are trained to keep the secrets. The first time, not the first time, but one of the big key times was I was actually in Arizona performing, and I got COVID and had to cancel my Sunday show. First time in 20 some years I canceled a show. I'm a very healthy guy. And I came home as a surprise to her. And the next day I'm in bed with COVID, and she says, I'm going to go to the library. And my instinct, my psychic sense spoke to me. She's not at the library. And I got up sick, and she wasn't at the library. I was like, where are you? And then she starts covering up. And what they do is they gaslight you. They go, you're the problem now. Even asking me that question, how dare you? That's what people do. That's the trick. How dare you ask me a question like that? Are you accusing me? And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So comes home,
And then you start feeling guilty for even asking,
right.
but where are you? You said you're at the library.
And then she does this. I'm at work and I can't tell you where it is. And I'm what? I'm your husband. I supply all the money for this family. Have some respect and tell me where you are.
Yeah.
It's a 100% true story. I come back 5 hours. I just said, where were you? Where were you? And she tries all these manipulative games. I don't need to tell you. I don't have to tell you. That's not lying. I go, that's a lie. It's not lying. And they can say over and over again because they really believe their lies. This is malignant narcissism. It's pathological. It's something you and I, we can't really deal with it because we're such empaths and good people. And we find it hard to believe that people could be like this. Like, this is my wife, Val's wedding. So I finally took her phone. Kids were in bed. And I said, I will give you this back if you tell me where you were. That's how desperate I was.
Yeah.
Instead of telling me, she charged me like a caged animal. I mean, you've never seen anything, like ripping at my clothes, scratching me, punching me, trying to get this phone. Now, I probably made the mistake, or I did make the mistake of I pushed her away, and I said, get off of me. And that was it. So can anybody guess what happened?
You told us a story. You got called. The cops called and came and arrested you.
Yeah, they arrested me. They said, you can thank OJ. I said, look at my scars. No, they wouldn't look. They wouldn't look. Our society and women of this ilk, certainly not all women, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
A lot of great women, but women of this ilk, they use society, and men have a certain way that they use society through intimidation, through getting people to enable them. They reward them with a pat on the backs, and then they think, oh, good boy. And then those people comply with their wishes and their commands. So it's a different people do it different ways. But we don't have the guts or the courage to confront them. Like my dream was that all of her family and friends would get together and have an intervention. Have an intervention and say, hey, this really hurts your children.
Yeah.
But your sister was hurting her children to the point where she murdered her children.
Yeah.
That's what's frightening. It can go that far. So as me watching her, where she can't even be in the same room with me, where I can have a simple discussion. Why can't you? I will have a neutral.
It's scary. It's scary to think of what they can do.
The only thing they fear when they claim they fear you, she got a safe house. I saw this text exchange with this father going, oh, hey, babe, I'll find you a safe house. She got a safe house. She kidnapped the kids and took the kids to the safe house. A safe house?
Yeah.
From me? But she puts the illusion out there that I need this because there's a male, big giant male, big bombastic guy who's in show business and successful. Oh, you know how he got there? Because he's a bully and he's abusive and all that stuff. It's an easy narrative to accept. Me telling about this hippie that she's this way, how many people do you think are going to believe which story? Yeah.
So before we let you go, I do want you to talk about, because I watch your Instagram now, and I see that you're doing a podcast, and you had a lady on there that was talking about her parents really hit a chord with her and told her some bad things, and she started breaking down and crying, and I saw tears in your eyes. So I know you have a very true and honest podcast with people and how to help their feelings and stuff. Tell everybody where they can see your podcast.
Oh, I don't even know. I never know that stuff.
We can relate to that, Adam.
I know. We do the same thing. We're like, I don't know.
I don't know. Go to CraigShoemaker.com. I think it's available in all the podcast places. It's called Still Standing Up, and I subtitled The Turnaround. Everyone has a turnaround in their life. Some will admit it and some won't. I'm there for the people that admit it and they're willing and they're open enough. I do coaching the same thing. Just be willing, just be open. I was just my hairstylist just now. I said, I'm going to see you for 2 sessions and help her get through this angry stages she's in, a frustrated stage with her ex and so on. And it's amazing the results if we do surrender. If we surrender the outcome and our intended results or what we want, if we let go of that, usually that's the best victory. Yeah. And that's the case with my ex-wife. I mean, it's so hard. I also have to step back and go, maybe this is meant to be for the kids. You know what I mean? Maybe this is their journey. Like I made it through mine. Yeah. Hardest journey, really hard journey, suicide attempt and drug addiction and alcohol addiction and, kidnapped and run away and all that stuff happened from a really, really early age. And yet now not only live to tell the story, but help others thrive through no matter what they go through. And you went through hell, man. I know you're healthy. That's why I was so excited to connect with you again. I know the hell that you guys are going through. You too, Rex. I mean, when you know the truth and people are afraid of that truth and they attack you because you possess that. I'm going to give you a little key here. This is why people go after comedians. This is why there's no support system for comedians, because they know the comedians will tell the truth and show the wizard behind the curtain. He's no wizard. Right. Once they're threatened by that, they will go by all means try to take you down. Russell Brand, big truth teller. Yeah. He goes on. He's talking about the drug companies. You mess with the drug companies. Me even saying that, I got to watch what's in my mailbox right now. I mean, you put the truth out there and people do not want to hear it. We live in a blind world. We put our heads in the sand. There are very few people that are courageous. I'm built to be courageous. That's what happened. That's what happened after all the dad and everything else. Get the courage to shift, get the courage to transform and help others do that as well. I'm not here to keep this all to myself. I share it with people, and the smiles and the laughs and the transformations that take place, it's miraculous. It makes me feel good. Like that day in 4th grade with my hands tied behind my back after the day that I had the most magnificent time, feeling this energy that was so positive of making people laugh by telling the truth. Yeah. Did I tell you the story about the pastor? Did I tell you that story? Last time?
Got to hear it.
This was really significant in my life. I'm a very spiritual guy. Everything's about God for me. And I wander away from it though, I get in my ego, get in my head and my fears, but I know that's the base. That was the base of my great relationship with my wife. Unbelievable. We had such an amazing time being married. But, you get away from that. You get away from the practice. You got to do your whatever serenity squats, or you got to practice just like physical. You got to work on the spiritual, emotional, and so on. And I was asked to speak at this church from a guy that I had heard was very courageous during the pandemic. He wanted to stay open. He made national news by going against Newsom and stuff like that. And I had heard about this. I'm going, man, that's a pretty courageous guy. He said stuff like, strip clubs are open, fast food is open, I'm going to stay open. And so I had heard about him, but I didn't know him. And I knew his name. Rob McCoy is his name. And I spoke at his church, but I didn't know it was his church. I spoke for another friend of mine, Frank, on a Saturday morning, it's a couple of years ago, for a Christian men, and I spoke about the healing powers of laughter. It really is. It's so healing. I have an organization,
Yeah.
Laughter Heals. So I speak, and I get off stage, and there he is. And he goes, "Hi, I'm Rob." And he goes, "I always wanted to meet you." I said, "By the way, you're going to like this because it was a similar, he's had a man crush on me for
He
years."
he loves you too, right?
Oh, I mean, wait to hear the story. It's crazy. So we went back in the office, and they prayed for me, which was beautiful. I was really feeling the spirit. And his daughter came back, and she says, "Is it really him, Dad?" He goes, "Yes, it's really Craig Shoemaker." That was kind of upper level. And he goes on stage an hour later, and he tells a story about 28 years ago. He was studying to be a pastor, and he had the best friend who was his minister, who was teaching him Christianity. That guy had 3 kids and a wife, and he wanted what he had. And then he had a fiance, and she became pregnant. And he takes her to his parents, and he says, "This is my fiance. We're having a baby." They said, "You're going to abort that child, or we'll never speak to you again. You are not our family." He said, "I can't do that. I'm a Christian." They said, "Well, then get out of this house." Leaves the house, distraught. Obviously, he's lost his family. Then she takes her ring and puts it on the dashboard, and she goes, "I can't marry you. This is not your child. It's his best friend's child."
Wow.
Now he's betrayed all different ways. Christianity, even, is the minister who's cheated on his wife to be with his fiance and the baby, and his parents have disowned him. So he's suicidal. He's going to kill himself. And he's going to go off this pathway this road that he went on he's going to drive off a cliff. He knows exactly how he's going to do it. And he's driving, and a miracle occurred. He doesn't tell us what the miracle is. And that night, I go to Kenny Loggins. I'm feeling really, really light. He's literally doing a song called Peace of Mind. At that very moment he did the song, and Kenny's my old friend, came a text from the guy, and it says, "The reason I didn't drive off the cliff, someone had just handed me a CD of a comedian named Craig Shoemaker." Because I'm driving, and I just laughed until I cried. Because I cried, tears were coming down my pants. I cried so much laughing. He said, "Life is worth living." And he said, "You saved my life, and I am with you forever." And I go to his church every week. Every week I can. Take my kids, sit in the front row. And he always introduced me as the guy that saved my life. And by the way, I think a week later, he met his wife, and that's his wife today, and they have a number of kids, and it's like just so beautiful. So he's a close friend of mine, and I challenge him, by the way, because there's stuff about Christianity I have a problem with, sin, and then he brings it to the pulpit. He's an honest guy. He tells the truth. A lot of people don't like that as well with him, but we connect. We just have this beautiful relationship that goes on to this day. And I had tears in my eyes when I got that text message. I mean, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And I went back to 4th grade, and I said, "Hey, something else is writing this script here."
Right.
Can't be
Yeah,
done.
you were made to be a comedian.
Yeah, I was. So if I would have stopped like that Mrs. Stout wanted me to when she tied me up, he might not be alive. My friend Gordon, same thing. He brought up a boyfriend of his to my show, and the guy was ready to kill himself, and he laughed, and he told Gordon after the show, he goes, that just kept me alive. I was going to kill myself. And look, it's a lot of people. We need more laughter.
I love it.
We have the other. Look, we got that down. The consternation, the anger, the misplaced rage. We're fighting like crazy. We're divided. What's going to make you whole and bring you together? Love, light, and laughter.
Yep. I couldn't agree with you more. I appreciate you coming on, spending time with us. I know you're super busy and you're traveling and doing stuff with your podcast and stuff. And we love having you on our show because we always learn. At least I like to learn from everybody that we had. We had a lady on the other day with she started goat yoga here in Arizona. We had her on, and she came from addicted parents and all this other stuff. So I think there's always something to learn from. Something that we talk about on the podcast. So you always bring the light.
Yeah, I think and thank you, Anna. Anna says dark humor, any humor, all humor, whatever it takes. And that is true. It's whatever it takes to shift your consciousness into something positive, a vibration that you can literally live by. Shifting that vibration is just so important. That's a choice. You can stay watching the news, you can stay empowering your parents, deifying leaders, whatever it is, and watch what happens. There's no glory. There's no essence of you in that. You're giving yourself away. And this is a chance to really go inside. What does Anna say? So beautiful. We never know what we say or do helps someone else. Kindness and compassion is king. and I'll add, or queen, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Kindness and compassion is really something that we can focus on, be open to, and really shift our energy away from these forces that are coming at us. It's just amazing. And to watch my beautiful wife fall victim, I don't know if it's victim, but fall for this Sith Lord that brought her into this darkness. If anyone wants to know, by the way, the name of the woman, I will tell you, but I'm not going to say it now because they're ready to sue me.
Well, just be on the lookout for those kinds of things. Yeah. Before you go, can you give me a Barney 5? I haven't heard your Barney 5.
All right, here we go. Barney 5. Well, main thing to remember is when somebody joins a cult, Andy, you got to do a confrontation and tell them that's not the way to go. We got to go down the fishing pond and skip some rocks with Opie. That's how to live your life there, right? How about it, Floyd? Skipping rocks, Andy. Rocks on the pond. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that.
There. Rub me right there, Barney. I have one you don't know about.
You got a new one?
I know from the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, who?
I used to do this a long time. I actually do a few characters. I do Howard Sprague.
Gee, Andy, sorry about that effigy thing, Andy.
That's Howard Sprague. Nobody knows who that is. The guy with the bow tie, but Ernest T. Bass.
Oh yeah.
I used to do everybody in Maybury was on drugs. I would identify the drug, right? So Barney's cooking it up right there. Floyd, high as a kite. Oh yeah, hand me some pot brownies, Andy. Andy, there are seeds in my marijuana, Andy. And then I had, here's one you never heard before. Ernest T. Bass. Andy, somebody threw rock cocaine through my window, Andy.
Oh my gosh, you cracked me. Oh,
I also used to do Gomer Pyle.
Oh,
if you ever noticed Gomer, before the show Gomer Pyle, he was on the Andy Griffith Show.
Right. He was a mechanic.
And they would write the episodes. Like he was the guy that hold of the producers. I'm not doing your show unless you can help me sell Jim Neighbors albums. so they would have like he was like this goof ass until he sang.
Right.
Like there's an episode where he's in the choir and he's like, well, golly.
Oh, my papa, he said he was so wonderful. Oh, golly, Shazam.
It's like, it made no sense. And then there was the episode he was in the choir. And Barney Fife was a horrible singer. And Barney was going up there and he'd go, something's wrong up here. I'll see if it's Gomer. And he would go next to him in the choir. And it was there, hallelujah. And then he's like, hallelujah over here. Okay, I think it's him, Andy. Off key.
Oh my gosh.
I have a new impression for you.
You're so good.
I have a new impression. Brand new. Ready?
Yep.
Liam Neeson from Taken.
Oh, Liam Neeson. All right.
I have a very special set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a long career. Skills that help me deal with people like you. If you let my daughter go, I will not look for you. I will not find you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
That sounds just, identical. Identical to the movie.
I got another one. Here we go. Morgan Freeman from Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yeah.
Andy Dufresne. That Shawshank prison, wearing nothing but a set of mother prison clothes, had a rock hammer nearly worn down to the nub. Andy Dufresne. In 1966, Andy Dufresne escaped from Shawshank prison. All they found was a set of mother prison clothes and a rock hammer nearly worn down to the nub.
Gosh. Well, I
Not
remember
bad, huh?
you do. Well, the first time I saw you do so many impressions that I literally was in tears in the audience. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is brilliant. He's
Wow.
so good at these.
I'm glad I got to be on the show and bring back the old Mayberry cartoons. I mean, Mayberry
Oh,
the show, and
yeah.
somebody would understand it. The audience has no idea what I'm doing anymore.
Right.
It was good to do it. It was good to do it here.
Go back to it. Well, listen,
You know,
we'll definitely have you on. We'll definitely have you on again. We love having you on. And let us know if there's anything we can do to help with anything that you're doing.
Excellent. Well, I tell people they can come to craigshoemaker.com. I do private coaching and just sign somebody in Arizona, actually, where you are.
Nice.
And I help people transform and shift into this beautiful space. You know, that's how we live. And I think we need more of that and less drama and less anger, misplaced anger, less enemy defining. They're defining our enemies for us. The only enemy is inside of us. The only enemy that exists. It's just inside of us.
Yeah.
It's that battle of spirits that go on inside. And my belief is if we surround ourselves, like here's the three of us, right? We had a fun, good day today. It's a positive day. Even that stuff that could be labeled as negative is stuff that happened. It happened in the past but it didn't happen to me. It happened for me. And it only happened for me. I get to transform and transmute this pain into something that's really significant and magnificent. It's this potency that wishes to be released in all of us. And I like to help people ignite that potency and ignite that spirit. And I even teach people how to tap into your creator, which is creative. We all have a play we want to write. We all got music we want to sing, but we tamp it down. That's conditioning that takes place from the day we're born. They start on us. Now you do this, and we'll give you a reward. We'll give you a little pin. We'll give you a grade. Let it go. How do you feel about that now? Does that do any good now that I know that Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492? Nina Pinta Santa Maria. What a genius I am. I think about it yesterday. I just said, I know you want me to go. So you've been trying to wrap this up for the last.
You're funny. All right. Well, Rex, is there anything else?
It's kind of like my marriage. I've overextended my welcome.
You haven't. We love having you on.
We do, Craig. Thanks for being with us. We're going about 8 more minutes, and we're going to be gone too. We're pretty strict about our time with ourselves, or we could go on for hours.
Well, thank you. Remind me to tell. I had a new theory today about intellectuals. Yesterday, I came up with this new theory. It came out of me, and I think I might be onto something here.
Okay, next time we have you on, we'll ask you about it.
Yeah,
there's the teaser for the next time.
Yes, I love it.
There's the teaser. Nah. All right, see you all next time. Thanks for having me on.
See you, bud.
Anybody write me a note, official Craig Shoemaker on Instagram and all that, and TikTok. Follow me on all those places. Say hi. Want to ask a question? I'm here for you. All right.
Love it. Appreciate it,
everybody.
Thanks. See ya.
See ya. How do I get out of here?
Well, we're still live for a couple more minutes. Boy, I wish I could put all these thoughts. And if you're watching this after the case, you can of course read all the comments. Wonderful comments, great questions. But I think the comments even more about people, their own thoughts, own experiences with this. So please read those comments when you all get a chance. There were several comments several questions I wanted to go back and give us a chance to talk about, but good heavens, they were so long ago. I don't know.
Right.
Back and find them. Adam, what really touched you out of Craig's, other than the voices, of course?
Well, and I think that he relates to a lot of people who will watch this podcast or listen to this podcast, is that he comes from pain. He comes from his dad left when he was little. He was abandoned. His mom beat him. He was kidnapped by a guy who was a pedophile. He was raped. I mean, he just like one of the worst childhoods that you can think of. And here he is. He's went on to be a famous comedian and turned all that into humor, tried to do, because a lot of humor comes from pain. And here he is doing these things and trying to help other people. What things that he's learned in his life. And that's kind of like why I wanted to write the book that we wrote. I didn't want any family to go through what I went through. I wanted to, try to help them before they went through that transition, if that ever happened to somebody's family, to stop it. And he's doing the same thing. I think his message is the same thing, is like, let's start doing something positive. And there's so many negative things in the world. And laughter is, I'm not even kidding. And I said this probably 20 podcasts ago when we were talking about how do you deal with the pain and all that stuff. Sometimes I just put on, like I said, I'll put on Craig Shoemaker on YouTube and sit there and cry, laugh. And then for the next 2 days, I'm happy, where before I was depressed. So a lot of us go through things, and what he said, laughter it can be a antidote to get you out of depression.
Oh, definitely. And not only that, another one is, again, I know not everyone's on the Facebook group, but boy, there is a great place to change your mind, because the posts on there and there are so many every day. They are all so positive and in different ways. Some are hilarious, so you're laughing. Some of them are tragic, so you're crying, but you're crying with someone. You're bearing someone else's burden. You have a chance to type a comment or send an emoji to be supportive of those people. And, that's a great place too, to change your state, as you're saying.
Yeah. And like I said, I love to either have some kind of emotion, cry or laugh or learn. I like all three of those because they cleanse our soul or help us to move on of whatever situation we're in. It helps us to go to that next level, to try to be more positive or live a happier life or whatever that is.
One more quick thought. I put a comment up on the screen from C.A. Beverforden. Sorry if I mispronounced that. But because several people were commenting during Craig's presentation, saying that they are also empathic and sensitive to energy, etc. And CA says, I was told by a psychologist that character disorder people seek out empathic people. Doesn't that make all the sense in the world?
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so, right after that, Kimberly said, empathic people give more than they take, which makes empathic people, like Kimberly, prime targets. So empathic people are targets. And I think we're going to see that more and more, again, as Chad's trial is going, to bring it back to that. I want to make a quick apology. I can see my screen is so light compared to everyone. I've got light shining in off my head, and that just makes it so you can barely see me. So no, that's not an apparition of my inner light coming out. That's just the outer light shining off my head. So don't think anything highly of that. Adam, we've got about 2 minutes. What are your closing comments for this slide?
Well, I do want to mention a few things. I want to thank everybody who participated in the 12 Days of Christmas on our Facebook page. I want to thank Lindsay, Kimberly, and Linda for all their hard work that they're doing with the Facebook. The merch store is going to open later tonight, so if you want to buy a hat, a hoodie, a T-shirt, a keychain, whatever merch, that will be available tonight, December 15th, if you're listening to this podcast later. And what else was there? I can't remember. There was something else, but Lindsay's probably going to yell at me.
Yeah, you can hear Kimberly in the background saying, "Where's your cheat sheet? I made you a cheat sheet."
Yeah, I know. Sorry, guys. It's on my phone, which, by the way, I'm using my phone for this broadcast. I don't have my computer. I'm in Wichita, Kansas, so I don't have anything. I don't have my headphones, my microphone, my computer.
And mine's on my desk in Utah, where I usually am in my office. So
right. We're a traveling podcast. That's what we do.
It is now, but thank you for joining us, all of you. Again, I don't want to give the impression we're just talking to the people in the Facebook group. We know a lot of you don't watch this, you just listen to it. We know the overwhelming majority of you don't comment, and we take that as positive feedback from you. So if you don't want to be, you should comment whatever negative feedback you have. But watch out, there are a lot of people on here that don't like negativity. So be warned of that. But we love all of you. This is unexpected for me and Adam. It's very healing for us. Thank you. But we just love you and all of this positive energy that you are bringing to each other, and it goes out and affects so many other people.
I will say this, share it with your friends, your family members, because it is a positive thing. And there's so many people, your neighbors, whoever hasn't heard of the podcast or heard of the Facebook group. I think it's something that people can benefit from. And so I would just try to share with them and see if they like it. If they don't, just say, okay, I thought you would like it, but I think it's something that we should do. So also you can like and share. And if you want to make a donation on here, you can do that too. I forget how to do all that, but all that's possible somehow, some way. Yeah.
More next week. We are going to broadcast the best we can in our various locations throughout the Christmas break also. So we'll be back with you next week. Take care.